All right. Welcome in to episode 119 of the Bluest Tape. I'm Harvey Couch, and that's Jeff Colath, and that's Sam Holt. And it has been nearly 6 months since an episode of the Bluest Tape, which is
only six.
shameful. I mean, not much has happened in the last 6 months, Jeff.
It's global pandemic, Harvey. I mean, even podcasts took a hit, right?
Right. That's true. So how's everybody doing? Sam, you good?
Man, day to day, I feel like things are looking up. So
Yeah.
trying to stay positive. Yeah.
Is that a Fox Brothers barbecue hat you're wearing, Sam?
It is, and it's my special occasion hat because I've got this one they sent me has like the red trim on it.
Okay.
I wear this on special occasion. So
That's your,
I would be good.
That's your Sunday hat.
Exactly.
I went to Fox Brothers for the first time about a month ago when we went to Atlanta over spring break, and it was great. They make great brisket, which so was Jonathan. Were they both tapers, or Jonathan was the taper?
I feel like Jonathan probably did more of the actual taping, but I know they both did some. I think Justin took a lot of pictures at one point too. Which location did you go to, or do you
know? The one we were. Oh man, I should remember.
The Ponce de Leon. That's the OG.
Avenue, and then there's one that's like in a newer one that's in like a big complex with a bunch of other restaurants.
No, it was the older one. It's kind of by a Lowe's, just north of 20.
Yeah, that's like, and it was probably parking was crazy and stuff.
Yes, parking was crazy. It's the only time I've ever seen a sign that said, "If you park somebody in, tell the hostess." And then
it's crazy. I think somehow the neighbors haven't run them off yet, but
it was nuts.
I'm pretty sure it's packed all the time.
It created a crisis because they on the board outside they have what they're out of. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the board and I was like, okay, they've got they have all the meats. And the one thing they didn't have chicken tenders, which is like, I don't know, Sam, looks like you might have kids. Harvey, I know you have kids.
Yeah.
No chicken tenders can be like a serious
code red.
Code red. So, but it was great because I went in and ordered and then sat at the bar, had a Creature Comforts, which was delightful, and then ordered chicken tenders from Hattie B's just down the street and picked it up on my way home back to the Airbnb. So it worked out.
Good call. So we were talking, it's 2022. We like to live in the past here in this podcast, Sam, and that's why you're a welcome guest always, because we know you do too.
Yes.
And we do a lot of anniversary stuff on the show, and last year was the big year with 1996. That was 25 years. But I feel like this is a big year because you got multiples, right? I mean, 92 is a big year for the band. We've talked about, JoJo joining the band. I guess it was a month, it was 30 years in a month from today was his first show, right? March 13th, it's April 13th. So that was a big year. Obviously 97 was a huge year. And all those soundboards that everybody got to hear. And then 2002, obviously a big year too. We're going to talk about some things that you picked out some stuff from 92. That was great. You also picked out some stuff from 02 that Jeff didn't even know existed. And it was I think pleasantly surprised. So we'll get into that some more too. But maybe let's start in the present. So just to mix things up here on the Bluest Tape, because so the band, obviously Panic has got a pretty full summer slate set, and Jeff, they had the big announcement with Mempho coming back, Mempho 2, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the lineup was set, and this came out of left field last week. And obviously Mike Smith is involved with Mempho, and I think there was a potential conflict in the band's schedule and it went away and it was available and they booked them for Saturday and Sunday, which is great. It couldn't go any better for the festival because if I had to guess, they're going to do Black Keys and Wilco Friday night and then Panic and Isbell Saturday night and then Panic Sunday night because the festival ends early on Sunday night. It wraps up around 9. And so Panic can hit the stage at 6:30 or something like that. Last year they did 1 set shows, so it's really going to work out great. The lineup overall is awesome. I'm super excited. Delvon Lamar Organ Trio is on the lineup. A.D. Victoria is on the lineup. Bobby Rush is on the lineup. Last year was good, but this is I think it's really great. They've done a nice job. So it was a great festival last year. I think it's even going to be better this year. And I'm not just saying that because Jen's cousin Todd is going to help with that, but it'll be really good. And then Panic's had a bunch of other shows and coming up quick, right?
Yeah.
We got
So the Wilmington shows are up
couple-
next, but they've already got right. They did the run down in St. Augustine, which apparently was a real good run, and I had a friend to go to Columbia, right? They do that all cover. So, Sam, do you? I know that you're not, huge on the current version of the band, but do you keep up? Do you look at set lists? Is that something that you do, or you just leaf through your everyday companion? And
somebody will, say, "Oh, they played this or something." I don't generally seek it out, but that's cool. Hey, can I interject something before I forget? Because
definitely,
Jeff said it's Bobby Rush, and I totally forgot about this. JoJo produced a track. I think it's for I could be wrong, Mississippi Arts Council, and it's going to be I'm not exactly sure the whole story behind it, but it will be for that. And JoJo produced a track. I believe he wrote the song, and I put a guitar part on it.
Oh, cool.
I forgot, and I think it's coming out in the last week of April. Totally forgot about that. Luther Dickinson plays guitar on it. I play guitar on it. Dwayne Trucks is on drums. JoJo's on keys. Bobby Rush is on harmonica and
nice.
vocals. And I just heard the final mix a couple of days ago, and it's pretty cool.
Is it a digital release or is it going to be a physical thing?
I don't know, honestly, man. I wish I had thought about it more and had asked some more questions, but
we can find out.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be
That's
out
awesome.
there.
That's
JoJo told me it'd be out the last week of April, so
that's
pretty cool. It has that kind of dark JoJo vibe. It's called Chickasaw Mud Princess, I believe. Yeah, it's cool. That's it's awesome. Heavy. It kind of reminds me of a Visiting Day took a left turn or something, the original Visiting Day.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So we were talking about the past shows, and was it in Columbia? They did an all covers. Was it an all covers show, Jeff, or was it a set?
Why are you putting me on the spot like that?
Well, because I thought you followed this band, and I don't. That's why I asked Sam first, and he said no, and so then I thought I would ask you.
I will say that, and it's not anything personal against the band this year. It's just I probably out of the last several years, I probably followed it the least I have since before the pandemic, I think. For no other reason that the St. Augustine shows, I was super excited to listen to them, and then they were over by the time I actually got to them because they started so early.
Yeah.
They were basically done by the time bedtime was over at our house.
Okay, so it was the second night of Columbia. First set is all covers.
Okay,
so it's Sometimes Sharon, Life During Wartime, Low Spark, Honky Red, Arlene, Chainsaw City, Trashy, Use Me. And then the second set is all originals. Driving Disco Diner, Blackout, Pilgrims, Driving, Saint X, Fishwater, Busted Big, Drums, Busted Big, Fishwater. And then Down, Floozy, Encore. So that's kind of cool when they mix that stuff up. Sam, let me ask you this, though. Have you heard their take on Trashy, the new Blaken track?
I believe I have. I think my wife showed me a video of them doing that at Red Rocks.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's one of my favorite things that they've done.
It's great
in the last few years, and so that's awesome. All right, so we've got that. So we talked about Wilmington's coming up next month. They're opening
Huntsville
they're opening the new Huntsville venue, which looks pretty awesome, and then Red Rocks obviously at the end of June. But Sam, you got some shows coming up.
Yes.
Let's tell the people about that.
Yeah, so we're doing 3 days in May. This will be the first time we have played, this band, I have played with these guys, my guys, since August 10th of 2019. And we're billing these as Remembering Mikey and Todd. And we're going to do 3 shows. The 12th, May 12th, which is Thursday at Isis Music Hall in Asheville. Friday at the Charleston Poorhouse, 13th, Friday the 13th, and Saturday in Birmingham at Avondale Brewing.
Oh, cool.
And it'll be, similar to what we've done before, but I feel pretty excited to play. It's been a while, and I know everyone's itching to play. And, man, I actually played a memorial for a friend that passed away a couple of weeks ago on the Georgia Theater rooftop, just me. And it's the first time I really played in a while. And I played like Mercy Train and Clinic Cynic, and man, I got pretty emotional. I have to say, some of that stuff hadn't really seeped out of me yet, and I'm just really excited to get on a stage, let it rip, and be surrounded by people that love that stuff and can connect with it.
Who's going to be playing with you at these shows?
It's the same guys I've been playing with for 7 years now. Adam Grace is the keyboard player, and he also plays in a band called Truth and Salvage. And Jeremy Ward on drums and Ross Parker on bass. And I met Adam playing some shows in Denver, opened a couple of shows for Truth and Salvage, and they're a really good band. Check them out if you haven't heard them. And we just kind of connected, and we figured we had these connections. We knew the same people, and then we were like, oh man. He's like, and then I moved back to the South and from Colorado, and I called him, and he was like, oh man, I've got a bass player and a drummer. Let's do this. So that's what I've been doing for mainly for the past since 2014, playing with those guys. And we play some original, we play Mikey tunes, we play some different kind of stuff, but we don't play, we probably do 15 when we were in 2014, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, we were doing like 12 or 15 shows a year. We weren't going out and doing 6-week tours or anything, but it was still, we were really found that we played well together and really enjoy it.
So it's like you said, it's been 2 and I guess almost 2.5 years, right? Or more than 2.5 years.
Yes.
You knocked the rust off a little bit on the rooftop, right? And are you excited, nervous? What?
I'd say all of the above. I'm excited to get back out there. I'm nervous. Just want everybody to be safe and no one to have any issues, obviously. But man, just excited to just plug that guitar in and just go. Let all those emotions run through me and back out into the crowd and back to us. That's some good stuff.
So if folks want to check it out, tickets, grab your tickets while you can.
Yeah, you could go to, there's multiple ways to get it. There's a samholtband.com. You can get links there. There's a rememberingmikey.com, all the Facebooks and the stuff like that. If you look, you'll find it pretty easy.
You're talking about Remembering Mikey, that's the other thing from the other anniversary we have coming up this year is 20 years on from that, right? And was the big event at the Georgia Theater in 12?
Yes.
Okay, so that was 10 years, and so now we're at 20 years, and I didn't even realize it until last week that the rescheduled New Year's shows at the Fox line up with that anniversary. And I mean, I can only assume that that's on purpose, right?
You do or don't assume.
I would think that. I mean, it's a mid. I mean, I would feel like it. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
If I had to
You
lay
probably have a
my
better
hand,
idea.
I bet it was serendipitous. Like
Right.
maybe someone had that vision, but I
Yeah,
doubt
or
it.
maybe it's just
I
what
think
happened.
it lined itself up, honestly.
Yeah. And you're planning to maybe be down there in Atlanta
Yes,
around the same time.
we're going to play. We're definitely going to play late night after those shows, and we will be in Atlanta, and announcements will be coming. So
Cool.
stay tuned. But yeah, yes.
Sam, so it's the 20th anniversary, obviously, of Mikey's passing, but we're coming up next week, I guess, the 20th anniversary of the spring tour, which we've done some shows on here. We played a lot from the Oak Mountain Run. So, if you can, put yourself back, Sam Holt 20 years ago, week before you're about to go out on the road with Mikey. What was the mood like with the band? What were you thinking? Like, where were you knowing, obviously what was going on with Mikey's health, but also, also getting ready to go out on a 2-3 week tour?
Oh man, it was intense. Every emotional string that could be pulled was being pulled for everyone, from the band to the crew to the audience members to the booking agent to the venue people. I mean, everyone knew what was up. Mm-hmm. It was the most emotionally charged. I keep saying emotions, but it's true. Mm-hmm. I remember they would get to an end of a verse, like randomly, I could pick any show, Savannah, I can't even think of what a specific song would be, but just say like, Airplane, get to the end of a verse, crowd will exploded, mm-hmm. 10,000 people freaking out, and in a very honest way that was like literally life and death playing out in front of them and on the stage. And, I had to do my job, make sure everything was ready, make sure the potential for greatness was there, which it was. And they delivered, and it was some of the most intense stuff I've ever been a part of, I've ever seen. And I can't imagine how those guys on stage felt. I saw some really cool stuff. I remember in Oak Mountain, like during sound check one day, Dave walked over to Mike. Mike was sitting on his riser, just messing around before they started. And Dave walked over and was like, "Man, gave him a hug." And was, I had never seen that. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I remember those crowd swells, especially like on his solos, right?
Yeah.
He would just start playing a solo, and it was just this like continual build of the crowd reactions.
Those Oak Mountains are like burned, and I'm sure everyone that was there will never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In terms of obviously, it sounds like I'm going to say everybody was aware of what was going on, but like, what was Mikey's mood during that time? I mean, was he sort of, where was he? I mean, in terms of, I'm not saying like in terms of his illness, but just like the shows and like his processing all of that was going on.
Man, I think he was optimistic. I remember the last night in Oak Mountain, he came up to me and we were talking for a little bit. And he was like, I'm gonna try to do the summer. I'm gonna see what happens. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. It's like, how much courage does this guy possess? He basically just said, I'm going to take my chances and play until I can't play anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was in good spirits in that spring tour. He had his family with him. I didn't really, notice it until I looked back and saw some pictures, and you could see it in his face, and then progressively by Red Rocks, you could really see it. But his attitude was positive. I think it was a way for him to really complete his work and use the vehicle that they had built to to say what he needed to say. I mean, you listen to some of those songs, they tell the story, you know, like Don't Be Denied and Oak Mountain.
Yeah.
My God, man.
Yeah.
There it is. You know, Down. It's there. It's there, and it's still there. You can go listen and hear that.
So just after the spring tour ends, you guys, you and Mike and Todd go sit in with Jerry Joseph.
Yeah.
And so talk about how that came about, and then you tell us how it came about, then I'm going to fanboy out for a minute.
Sure.
Jerry was recording an album in Athens. Is that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Because he talked about
the timeline.
Conscious Contact.
Conscious Contact. Dave was producing it. I think it had already been recorded because I remember going over to Dave Barbie's studio and Mike put his guitar parts on that song "Fastest Horse." I think that was like either early. It was before he. I think it was before he knew he was sick. So I'm thinking like late 01. But yes, yeah, because I think fall 01 is when they were cutting all the tracks, and I think it was mixed probably over the holidays, or I don't know, to guess. But yeah, so there were these shows that were lined up right after Oak Mountain. We were going to stay just out for another week, but Mike was too sick. There was two other ones. There was Mobile, maybe New Orleans, and then Georgia Theater. Is that right?
Yeah, the Soul Kitchen show that was the night before, and then
that would have been Jazz Fest. That would have been Jazz Fest too, right?
Okay, so Mike was supposed to be at all three of. He ended up just going to the Georgia Theater, obviously hometown, but they were supposed to be, you know, Jerry and friends, and with Todd ended up doing those other two shows, and I was going to be there for Mike. But ended up not going because Mike didn't go. But I don't know who came up with that idea. But anyway, it culminated at the Georgia Theater on May 3rd, 2002. And what a great night of music. It's insane. It was like a parade of Athens musicians that had, you know, playing for the past 10 years. And, it was a great night. I encourage anyone to listen to that. It is on archive. I'm assuming the Bloodkin set's on there too. I just haven't looked for it, but I did see the Jerry and Friends sets on there.
Yeah, it's Bloodkin, Barbecue, and
there you go.
Jerry, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna admit I'd not listened to this until yesterday, and I've listened to it three times in the last 2 days.
What did you listen to?
I listened to 3 Mile Island that you said on, which is awesome. And then the Mike stuff is just, I mean, it's you know, there's still excitement to hearing new Mike for the first time. I mean, and we've talked about this on the show too, where if it's an old tape that we dig out, or if there's something that, whatever it is, it's just, it's the same thing with hearing like a new Dwayne Allman show from the Brothers. It's the same thing hearing new Jerry, whatever it is. And like this just, I mean, I'm getting chills just talking about it. Dude, it's unbelievable. And then, and knowing what's to come, the energy, the angst. I mean, whatever you did as a tech, did you tech his guitar that night too?
Yes.
I mean, it's like you turned the raunch to like 11 that night.
That's him, man.
Oh, man, it was just the shit.
His fingers. That was that's what he could do. That he had that.
It's some of the best. It's the best thing I've heard in a long time. It's amazing. Great. You guys did great.
So there was multi-tracks recorded that night, and I ended up with them, and I gave them back to Brown Cat a few years ago, and I'm kicking myself.
Why did you do that?
Wasn't thinking clearly. Will never see the light of day. But someone told me recently I should ask for them back, because the answer, as Gary Vereen said, longtime Panic roadie, equipment manager, ambassador for the Panic, the answer is always no until you ask. So All they can
You
do is
should.
know, and I'm in the same boat. So
Never give up your masters.
Jeez, man.
kicking myself, dude. I
Yeah.
could sit here and I don't even know what the tracks. I think I hope the tracks still sound good and everything was recorded well. But I could have mixed it. Could have done my own mix with it.
I mean, one of the things that makes it really special, I think, is that, something that Harvey and I have talked about a lot is that Mike just didn't sit in with a lot of other bands.
No.
We've talked about people sitting in with Panic, but there's Mike is and JB sitting in various things, but Mike it's just not something that he did. So getting what was the process like on a night like that where he's sitting in with Jerry Joseph instead of playing with Panic? Is there anything different that you did or anything different that he did?
I didn't bring his entire rig down. Actually, that day I got his rig from the warehouse. It was just the one Soldano and the one cabinet. It's pretty packed stage, so we knew, what probably wasn't the best idea to set up his riser because they, it's not a ton of room. Didn't want to assume we could just take over the stage. Wasn't our show or whatever, But I just set up, his throne, his drum throne, which he sat on, volume pedal, and then the pedal that switches the channel on the Soldano between the clean and the lead, and put his amp behind him. There's some pictures somewhere. I have some pictures of that night. Try to dig those out.
Where was he on the stage? Was he in Mikey position, or was he somewhere else?
He was kind of mid stage, right? Okay. If you were standing on the stage in the center, you were standing looking out. He's right here, like stage. If you're standing on the stage and you stage right, right. So he was mid stage, right? And so I remember picking him up that day from his house, and we went down there early. And I was like, "Hey man, Jerry told me he might ask me to sit in." And I was like, "I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to go on." And Mike said, "If you do, you're welcome. You use my rig." And I was just like, "Holy shit!"
Wow. Oh wow!
So that's the first and only time that I think Mike. I know it's the only time he ever saw me play at like a show or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. He heard me play like sound checks and stuff.
Yeah. So what was that like for you, sitting in with Jerry Joseph and then playing through Mike's rig?
It was great, man. It was all just kind of surreal. It just all kind of just unfolded. I didn't have time to worry or think about it. I'd practiced the song a lot because Jerry asked me what song did I want to play.
I was going to ask you because he said that, right? And so, like, what was your thought process?
I love that song. I don't know how many Jerry Joseph fans there are out there that are actually listening or watching, but
well, if they exist, they're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a song on Small Island that I just loved. And I could always hear these guitar parts that I wanted to put on it. Anyway, I did it, and I played well, and it was a good night. It was a good experience. The crowd popped after my solo, and it was just like it was great, awesome feeling. And I turned around afterward, and I could see all the people that were from the dressing room, including Mike, like on the steps watching, and that was just unreal.
Had you played on stage at the Georgia Theater prior to that?
No.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll play that after we're done, after Jeff's done with this fanboy stuff, but we'll play it through Island. But the other thing,
I'm sorry.
Hey, Harvey, it's the least cynical I've been about a piece of music.
I know. That's why I'm trying to.
Don't give me shit about it.
I'm leaning into it, man.
The first song that Jerry is Most Beautiful Day, and Mike. I know Mike picked that song to play, and if you listen to the lyrics, it's pretty heavy about what that song's talking about. So if you want to dig deep and maybe feel some crazy shit, listen to the lyrics to that song.
The other thing, and it was mostly in Fastest Horse, but then really in the rest of the show too. But I think because Todd was playing on that, right? I mean, there are moments in the rest of that show where you hear Todd and you hear Mike, and it's like one of my favorite sounds in the world. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's that backbone, and then it's just Mikey riding that wave, and it's just makes me so happy.
Yeah, when they go into Drive, that's kind of a totally different feel than what like the Jack Mormons play Drive like. Because I think Todd comes out for the first song he comes out for is like whatever goes into Drive. I think it's still Brad from the Jack Mormons.
Okay, yeah, I think you might be right.
Castosaurus, I think. But once Todd gets out there, that drum beat that he does, it's just like he does it for like 20 minutes. I don't know how he could do that and never lose the groove and still be dynamic, still have accents, still like push the song this way, go down, go up, but it never wavers, and and that just gives so much freedom, and there's some people that would hear that and go, well, he's just doing the same things. What's the
right?
Big
It's boring. It's boring.
I would challenge any drummer to play solid for 3 minutes and not like lose it, and not do a fill, not do like a big splash or a crash. Just keep it solid. Just keep kick, snare, hat. Just do that for 3 minutes without messing up. I challenge people to do that.
Well, I mean, this is something that Harvey and I have talked about, is this idea of, Mike and Todd were kind of the match set, and Jimmy and Dwayne are kind of a set. And so, you had that transition period, obviously, where Jimmy and Todd play together. So what is it about Todd's playing that Mike was able to do his thing, but maybe, why Jimmy and Todd, they were able to play together, but maybe why they're not able to mesh the way that Mike and Todd were?
I think it was just those original four, or the lightning in the bottle, that's part of it. If you didn't have those four at the beginning, I don't think that ever gets out of the bars, honestly. But and I've heard Todd say it, I'm sure you have too, that he and Mike learned how to play music together, not just learn songs to play together, but learn how to play together, how to be in a band together, how to make people not leave the bar, how to play good enough to be like invited back. That kind of thing. When they had something to lose,
that's an important thing.
It might not make any money, and they never get asked back. That type of shit that they've got to really play their ass off and get better every time. And I think that's part of the reason they played so well together, is because they learned to literally do that together as a unit.
So like it's one thing to say like his style, meshed with the others, but it's almost like their styles were created at the same time together, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would agree with that.
Off of each other.
I was listening to like one of the tracks, the disco from like that Herman's Hideaway 92 I was listening to earlier. I mean, 92 is pretty young in their career. They've only been playing like 6 years, and for 86, 87, they would admit it, they weren't that good. They were trying to figure it out. What's their thing? What's their sound? But by 92, and really by 90 in a lot of ways, but by 92, they had their thing down, and like just how good Todd is at that point. Like it's got like $1 million hi-hat. You just listen to disco and a crisp recording from them. Holy, like that Valdosta 89. It's like holy crap. He's that good at that point. And you're only as good as your drummer, really, when it comes down to it. Unless you're the Dead, and you got Jerry, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's that's always it's obviously it's the 50th anniversary of Europe 72, so those are fun shows to listen to and kind of pick along the dates, and it's been really fun because the Wolf Brothers were just in town, and Bobby plays lead in that band. And it's so interesting because I had some friends that went to that show, and the Settlers looked awesome. They played Dark Star, and they played That's All Right Mama, I think. And like, they did some cool stuff, but it's like, Bobby's not a lead guitar player by any stretch of the imagination. But you come back to those 72 shows and it's just like this magic that happens between Jerry and Bobby, and like Jerry is supposed to do what he's doing. Bobby is supposed to do what he's doing. And then Billy is just in the background, just doing what he's supposed to do. And it's just like that band was incredible. It was the perfect band for that moment at that time. And I think, you know, with Panic, with that original band, it's very much the same thing. I mean, I think I wouldn't say that I think I say I won't put you into this, Harvey. I think we've downplayed the contributions of Todd a little bit here and there. But I think when it comes down to it, I think part of it is just because it's just he and Mikey were a unit together. I think they were just meant to be together and meant to play together. And just over the last 20 years, it's just been something different.
All right. Well, I want to play the 3 Mile Island from 5302.
Can I say one thing before while I'm thinking about it? Because
you can say 2 things if you want.
Sparked something. Dave Schools told me that he, JB, and Mike went to see Grateful Dead at the Fox in the fall of '85 together.
Okay.
And they started playing Fire on the Mountain, and Mike was like, Mike thought it was an original JB song because they had been playing it, and he didn't know this isn't your song. Anyway, I thought that was pretty great.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that.
Oh man, yeah, a lot of JB solo Fire on the Mountains back in the day. That's great. Okay, so 3 Mile Island from 5302. We're going to do that. And if you're watching the live stream right now, we're actually going to just come right back. We're not going to play the music. But if you listen to the podcast, we're going to play the music. And we'll be back right after this. Okay. And now we're back. How about that? That was awesome. Sam, you shredded that solo. It was amazing. So you said you practiced that. Did you practice that a good amount? Like
I did.
You knew the licks you were going to play.
Not specific licks. There was a couple I wanted to get in there, like that mimic the melody, but I just had it. You know, I knew where the chord changes were and knew what. I just played that song a ton at home. Just with the stereo, cranking the stereo and playing with my guitar and stuff. So I wasn't sure it was going to happen. I still wasn't sure it was going to happen until maybe an hour before it happened.
So there's this thing that and you can talk to this because I'm obviously we're not a musician, but there's this like thing about inviting people up on stage. Like there's a very specific process that has to happen, right? Like it's not just, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I feel like because my brother is a musician, and I remember we were like at a bar, and like everybody was like, "Oh, you should go play with those guys," and he's like, "Well, no, it's not how it works." You know what I mean? Like, you gotta tell them that I can play, and then they'll say that whether they want to play or not. And so, so how does that? I don't know. You maybe don't want to go behind the scenes too much, but like he says, maybe you should come out, but then like. It's not like for sure until it's like, or you come out after this, you come like basically as the show starts, right? Then you're kind of laying out the set list and
like when he started laying out how the format or whatever, he was like, I was up in the dressing room and he wrote down 3 Mile Island. He's like, all right, I'm just going to be here. And he told his tour manager was like, hey, Sam's going to come out here, and I just kind of was listening. Mike's gonna come out here. Danny's gonna come out here. And that the whole reason I even got started with that, and I may have told this story, so stop me if I have on here. In the fall of '01 in Charlotte, Jack Mormons were opening for Panic.
11/17/01.
Yeah. And please stop me if I've already said this before, but Mike was going to sit in because so for sure they had recorded those parts because he sat in on Fastest Horse that night during the Jack Mormon set in Charlotte. Okay, so they definitely had done that. They'd already recorded that. And so, but they needed to sound check Mike's rig with Jerry during their sound check because Jerry opened and they needed to sound check Jerry during the day and then hey, we want to hear Mike's guitar with Jerry. So I got up there and played with him. And I had really loved this song called Way Too Loud, which is like a Little Women song. And then Jerry still plays it, I'm sure. So I sat in and played that with him at sound check. And he came up to me and he was like, well, Mike said you can play. Do you want to play? You want to sit in with us on a sound check? And I was like, yeah, can we do Way Too Loud? And that's how that all just got started. And then I've sat in with Jerry many times since then and ended up playing in the band with him in 2017, actually. And that's all from Mike going, hey, I think this guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
It really sprung me into worlds I never thought I would go into.
Jerry has sat in with Panic, over the course, for more than 30 years, starting in 90. Yeah. What is it about Jerry Joseph and Widespread Panic that you think fit?
Man, you have to go pretty deep, because if you look at it on the surface, not a lot. I think I know that Todd told me that like him and Mike just fell in love with Jerry. They're like, he's the only dude that acts like that we actually love. Like, I remember seeing Jerry with Little Women open for Panic at the center stage in Atlanta, and I was like, please stop. Man. This dude's running around the stage, chain smoking, literally lighting one cigarette off the next, all this, and like, what is this? Please. But I think a lot of the intentions were the same, surrender to the music. The music's bigger than you are. Jerry's a great songwriter. They admired that. They respected it. They got off on his music. They loved playing some of his songs. It was real. It's tapping into the source. I'm sure they would tell you that, we're all just vessels for the inspiration to come through. And Jerry is that too. He obviously has a very high production rate, and has written hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of songs. And I think they just respect that. They respected that artist, and they connected with him early on. And, they got to do some shows together and help each other out, and it just bonded them.
One of the best parts about listening to music that's 20 years old and shows is, it's just the little nuggets of the past. And Jerry at the end of the show is just remember that the war on terror is an assault on your rights.
Wait, he said that at the end of that show?
Yeah, at 5/3 in 2002. It was pretty great. I hadn't heard that in a long time. That was pretty awesome.
Hot take, fresh hot take.
Fresh hot take.
He loves to be controversial.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why, again, it's like, on the surface, those guys maybe are not, pretty dissimilar, right? But
JB would never say anything like
in
that remote area. He would never say anything that anyone could take as any direction,
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jerry said in the past that how much he appreciates the fact that the Panic will just let him go out and play his songs, and like 30 minutes of a second set. And that's how much they like and respect him.
I mean, I know that awesome. Like Climb to Safety and North, they just Panic would sit in the back lounge, ride down the road, and just like listen to those songs and be like, man, what a great song. We should play that. I mean, that's just organically how it happened. There was no preconceived, if we do this, this will happen. It's just like, man, we love this song. Let's do it. Speaks to us.
So, all right. So that was 5302, which was awesome. And we talked, I definitely wanted to hit on some of Jerry's comments on stage, and that was good. I'm glad. So what else? Oh no, I did want to. There's like some news. So if you'll indulge us a little bit, Sam. Well, first I want to talk about the Jeff. This is news to you too, because we haven't talked in a while. The Home Team.fm guys. Have you listened to this, Jeff? Are you familiar? Yeah,
No.
it's on the internet. It's a thing.
I just figured out re-listen, Harvey.
Right. But yeah, so there's it's like a live stream. It's like a radio feed. It's a 24/7 radio feed. I don't know. I mean, I know the one guy that's involved. I don't know how many folks are involved in it, but it's basically a radio station that plays like music that's related to I mean, Panic, I guess, mostly. I mean, but it's just like all kinds of good tunes. And so he asked if he could play episodes of the podcast on stream. And
a broader audience?
I mean,
what?
Jeff, don't tell.
This is super secret stuff.
So we'll so anyway, so we're going to be on hometeam.fm every Tuesday and Thursday at
Did you send those papers to my legal counsel yet?
No, I'm springing this on you right now so that you won't have the opportunity to say no. But anyway, so that's exciting. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out.
The currently now playing is Born to Run by some guy named Bruce Springsteen.
The boss.
Hello, Sam's cat. Yeah. And then they played Jack Straw by the Other Ones. Okay. I Want Candy by the Strangeloves, and then Pigeons by some band called Widespread Panic.
Okay, so there you go. So we're excited about that. And like, Sam, are you doing something with them too? Is that?
Yeah, his name's Russ Lloyd, and I've never met Russ, but I've emailed with him, and he asked me to do a playlist, and I have agreed to do that, and I just need to get it together and do it. And
yeah, it'll be awesome.
One of the big things that's coming up is the Miss Kitty's Lounge vinyl is finally about to come out. Delayed. I forgot that was supposed to come out late last year, but it's finally coming out this year. It says early 2022.
It's May. There's a release date now. It's like May 13th, I think, or something.
But that is stuff from 90 with the original band, and then Sonny plus John Keane, Paige McConnell, and Randall Bramblett on sax. So, are
you familiar with any of that stuff, Sam?
Yeah, have you heard it before?
I think so. I mean, I think there was a tape that circulated with it's a bunch of what I assumed were demos of a bunch of ended up going on Mom's Kitchen that they did in Athens at John Keane's. That's what I always thought it was.
Yeah,
right. And that's when they recorded like the stuff with Paige, the sort of the two tracks that went on Space Wrangler on this cassette release, right? The re-release, and when was that? 90 or 91, maybe 89.
Probably like 91 or 92.
Yeah.
And then the 4/3/96 is coming out on vinyl, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Too. Oh, I didn't know that.
So they've done 12. They did December 1st, 2000, and then I think the Club Soda 1997, and now they're doing 4/3/96, which I think should be out soon. So, awesome. I get all my news from End of All Music in Oxford, Mississippi. So tip to David and his crew for being one of the best record stores in the country.
Sam, were you at that Von Braun show or no?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm surprised we haven't talked about this.
You hated it. You hated it, I see.
I knew. I swear to God, I left that going, holy crap, that is one of the sickest shows I've ever seen. We knew, not everyone. I knew it. People I was were like, holy crap. We won tickets. I was living in Chattanooga at that time. We won tickets off the radio station.
Man,
I don't think it was half full.
Yeah.
Also, I remember trying to get my taping gear in, and the security was like, you can't bring that in. And I was like, okay, can we just talk about this? And then I saw somebody with the crew. I was like, hey man, can you go get whoever and tell them that this is okay? And it's like a 15 or 20 minute deal. And finally they're like, okay, you can bring it in. And so, yeah.
So you taped that night?
Yeah. And that was
okay. So I mean, Ryan Varnum's tape is the one that is made the rounds. The CMCs, the Sheps is the one that I mean, I think we all know. So what did you ran AKGs that night?
AKG 460s. I'm pretty sure. I may have patched out of someone that night. My friend Matt. If I did, it was AKG 391s.
The blue lines, the 391s, those things were sweet.
My heart feels full right now talking about 460s and 391s.
I saw a picture, Sam. I saw a picture of you on Instagram holding a Sony D5 and a Nakamichi.
Yes.
Yes.
That was amazing.
That's how old I am.
Where did that come from? Were those yours?
No, there was last weekend when I played, 2 weeks ago now, I played a memorial for a guy named Ray Jones, who was a big Panic fan, home team, Holt team supporter, loved Outformation, used to come see us all the time. Anyway, tragically passed away a couple years ago, and they finally got around, were able to have a memorial. And one of my friends, Z-Man was there. Do y'all know?
Mm-hmm.
Stephen J. Ziegler. And Horace, that used to archivist for Panic. That was his D5. It was Horace's D5, and I think that was his Nakamichi, or that's probably Z-Man's microphone. But I was just like feeling all nostalgic, and I was like,
man. We got a comment from Jerry Ford saying, "Love the Knox."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really awesome.
It just brings back a lot of good memories.
So had you seen other shows in spring of '96 besides that Huntsville show? Were you in Johnson City?
Yes, and
because that's my favorite. That's my favorite all time.
That's
like, secret heater show.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. I keep talking.
No, you haven't listened to that
in a long time. But I remember the set list being like insane.
It's stupid. I mean, it's first set Fantasy and Vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
need to do that.
Panama City 4596, which I used to have I assume there's boards of that because I had like
I think there is a board. I think I remember I had the same. I had like maybe just a second set board.
That sounds right. Yeah. That was like a Civic Center, about a third full. And I remember it being over, like thinking, man, that was a pretty quick set, but whatever, 96 going crazy.
So, I mean, that was definitely the part of the band, and I think into 97 as well, of when you would see them and you're like, I can't believe that this is better than the last show I saw, but they're better still, right? The last show was the best show, and now this is the best show. Because I had that same feeling, and there are ones that stand out, right? And like you said, that Huntsville and the Palace show, the 5/7/97 show. I remember walking out being like, that was different than, they're all great, but that one was like up there. So I'm glad to hear that in the moment that Huntsville show had that feeling for you.
It felt like a big show too, because it was an arena. And it wasn't half housed, I don't think. Yet there was probably very few people in the seats. Mostly everyone was on the floor, but it wasn't crowded or anything. Yeah, I mean, it was like they just had so many years of just like an ascending. It's just incredible to think that really until Mike passed away, and even then things were still going. There was so much craziness going on after he passed away. They were still kind of growing, at least, in numbers, but just musically, that enduring ascent for so long, man. It's just like, no wonder they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So are there bands that you follow today? I mean, like, do you ever get the desire to seek out a band that maybe is at that stage in their career now, in their ascendancy, where you could be excited about seeing, what that next show might be like, that it could be better than the last one you saw?
I wouldn't say no. If that was
no is a strong word, and I'm not necessarily saying like picking out a band. I'm just saying, is that something that's that maybe
how
it's just like
how are you trying to justify Goose Tour?
No, I'm really not. I mean, I will say that
I figured that's what you were trying to do.
No, I mean, I know that is the case with them for some people, and
Sure.
and I've and they're pretty good, but I wasn't fishing for a band. It was more just like,
Yeah.
because that's like a pretty cool feeling, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is like amazing.
The first thing that comes to my mind is, I'm in a different point in my life. I need to be up every day at 6 a.m. I need to be home to cook dinner every night, and I don't have the freedom I used to have, and that's a bad thing.
To
it's
run
just
to
the way
Panama
it
City
is.
on a Tuesday night or
Yeah,
whatever
I
it
can't go
was.
drink a case of Budweiser in a hotel room in Panama City on a Tuesday night anymore. But man, I would be open. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I'm 50 years old, so it's hard for me to motivate to go to somewhere locally to see a band, much less
Sure.
travel. I'm sure there's awesome stuff out there that I'll never know about. I'm sure. But I've never say never.
Have you gone to any shows recently? I know you're a big Dead & Co fan, but are there other? That's a joke. It's an inside joke.
No, I respect the hell out of them.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm sorry. They just, I'll crush them because I saw them in Cincinnati last year, and it was maybe the most boring show I've ever seen.
Musical NyQuil.
And I generally defend them. I mean, Mayer's a hell of a player, and I love Bobby and the rest of those guys, but man, it was boring. It was just so slow.
Yeah, I get it.
But anyway,
if you've never seen Bob Weir before in person, that's probably really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but have you seen anything? Do you go? I mean, even just locally, have you been to a show at the George Theater or anywhere recently?
No, I haven't. I was trying to think. The last time I went and saw something was, and I went to see David Byrne's band, Utopia. I can't remember what it's called.
American Utopia
at the Fox, but that was probably like 2018, 2019.
Yeah. I feel like that was your answer to this question the last time we talked.
It probably was. Dude, if I get free time, I'm just like,
yeah,
I feel you. Wrestling or
hanging out with family, right?
Hanging out with family or playing car or something.
I saw Dylan on Saturday night here in Memphis, cool. And it's so fun to go to shows with zero expectations. And he's essentially playing the same set list for the last however many months. So it's a pretty good idea what he's going to play. It was a lot of stuff off Rough and Rowdy Ways. And of course he does the Dylan thing, which is I'm going to play songs that but I'm going to play them in a way different way than what they were originally recorded like. But he did it in a way that was like, I'm trying to put this over with you. Like he was pushing it. And, the first few times I saw him, 20 years ago or longer ago, it was just, I mean, like it just was mumble electric piano, and it just, the band was good, but he wasn't. And I saw him in 2012 in Madison the night before the election. And then I saw him this past Saturday, and I mean, it was great. I mean, the dude's 81 years old, and he gets out there and he plays piano, and his band is good. And there was an urgency with him and a sense of like, I'm going to make you like this. And that I thought was palpable and really great. And he did this thing where, every 4 or 5 songs he'd never played guitar. He just played upright piano the whole time, walked up from behind the piano and would kind of shuffle out. And then he'd put his hands out. You can't see my hands, but put his hands out on his hips and go like, not jazz hands, but put them out and be like, hey. And then he'd walk back behind the piano, and then he'd do 4 or 5 more songs. Then he'd come back out, go, hey. And like he made some comment about Memphis and Sam Phillips, and then he introduced the band, and how he introduced the band was great. And like he started at 8:01, tickets at 8, started at 8:01, show ended exactly 100 minutes. Ended exactly 9:41. So it's like he's an old school rock and roller who looks at the clock and is like, I'm going to give you 100 minutes exactly, no more. I'm done. Bring the lights up. But it was great. I mean, I think it's like, I haven't been to a show. I haven't been to a show in a while, but we got some coming up with My Morning Jacket and the Truckers and some other stuff. But I think that's been a big part of this, is like, not having gone to shows for a while, but not having any expectations about things. And I think something that Harvey, you and I have talked about is like, that was one of the things that ruined my Panic experiences for a long time, was I developed expectations. Mm-hmm. It's more fun to go to shows without expectations now. Yeah. I want a time machine. I want to go back. I want to go back in time.
Let me know when you find it.
Let me know when I find it.
All right. So looking back, we talked about 97, but were you want to play something from 92, spring 92?
Yeah. So,
but I want to talk before. So we, so JoJo joined right March 13th, but even, well, I don't know. I'll let you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean you started talking and I talked over you, and I want to hear about the Masquerade, but then Herman's Hideaway too. So you tell me where to go.
Oh, okay. I forgot about, we had talked about the Masquerade. So there was a show, I guess the official last show without a keyboard player between T. Lavitz and JoJo. They did two shows like that, February 21, 92 in Auburn, and February 27th, 92 at this club called Masquerade in Atlanta. And I was in the band that opened for them in Atlanta. We were called Hoodwink. We were from Chattanooga, a friend. It was a fraternity party. I think it was Sigma Chi, like it's Georgia Tech Sigma Chi party that they rented out the place. And we got to open, and it was like, I was a Panic fan at that point, so it was pretty awesome. We weren't very good.
You didn't get invited to come out.
No. But JB was nice to us. I remember that, and Gary was nice to us. And I think someone stole Dave's jacket out of the dressing room that night, because I remember him being ultra pissed. I'm pretty sure
someone from your band, or just a random person?
I think a random stole it. Yeah, I think that's the story I heard. Someone stole his jacket out of the dressing room, so that he was pissed. I don't blame him. But anyway, there's a really good soundboard recording, and it opens with Liza's apartment. And Mike's guitar is so up front in the mix, at least in the beginning. I just love to hear that. Just his beautiful way he played in that song, especially. So we were talking about playing that, which is the first song, right?
Yep.
And maybe pick another one. I don't know. Pick something else off there if you want.
I feel I'm looking at the set list now, and I mean, I wore that tape out. I mean, I had a good tape. It was a good sounding soundboard.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe does the Fishwater like start off with like just Dave on the bass, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
That's maybe a different show I'm thinking of, but it's just like the bass line to get going. But I'm looking at now on Everyday Companion, it's first entering a black hole backwards, and the Hoodwinks opened.
There you go.
Did you guys play original material or covers or both?
Mostly original. I'm trying to think. We played like maybe a Neil Young song or something. We weren't very good. We had a recording of it. Luckily, it's disappeared.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I would listen to it. Just
history, man.
You're right. You're right.
That's just gotta stick around forever.
Yeah. Actually, I still am good friends with a couple of guys, and we still text and shoot this crap all the time. One of them is named Ricky Supan, and he and I taped a lot of Panic shows, like 90 through 93, 4 together. We went in and bought the AKGs and got DAT machines. He had a D5, and then we got DAT machines right after that. I hope people understand what I'm talking about.
The people, yeah, they do. There are people.
If they're listening at a 10 after 11 on the East Coast on a Wednesday night, they know what you're talking about.
And Jeff talks about his 7-pin, his Odie 7-pin cable for his
DA. I love it.
Yeah. Jerry Ford says, "Oh yeah, he understands. He gets it."
I mean, we're just talking. I mean, that's the best stuff is when you're just being ourselves, right? what was I going to say? Oh, so I remember also during the Chili, he says "melted Sunny in my hand." For some reason, that stuck with me from that night. And then I had suggested to play Herman's Hideaway 32192, the driving, me and the devil driving disco. It's, first of all, it's right before driving song. Gary Vereen says, if you're parked at the 7-Eleven, you're about to get towed, check it out. I'm the driving song. And I was like, I mean, it's just the best thing in the world. And then,
that's a great Garyism. I think my favorite Garyism is where he explains to the people what monitors are. You know that one? There's like these speakers at the front of the stage are so the musicians can hear the other musicians. If you put beers on them, if you shake them around, get ashes in them and stuff.
They don't work right.
Please help me in that respect. Thank
you. You're okay. I have to mention this now. So there's a song on the Sam Holt Band album called "Fix It Up, Man" that I wrote the music and Danny Hutchins wrote the words, and it's about Gary. And at the end of that song, it's on Spotify. You can go listen to it or Apple Music. I sampled that.
Oh no shit!
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go listen to that. You're one of the.
So, which show is that from? Do you know specifically what show that's from?
10/29/93 Jackson Hole.
Yeah, Jackson
nice.
Hole. Yeah, that's fall '93 run. That makes sense. That's perfect.
Oh yeah.
You jog them around, you shake them.
Get ashes in hands all over them. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so that I picked that driving, me and the devil driving disco because it's a digital soundboard. It sounds really clean. I would bet that it came from JB's Sony DAT machine that he had for a while, and then I heard it got stolen at some show, which was, come on, man, really? Steal the dude's DAT machine out of the club. But I think a lot of those 92 soundboards are from his DAT machine. So it sounds really good. It's clean. It's really unique time. Like their instrumentation and like their amps and their instruments were getting better. And it's just a really cool sound. I love the way JB's guitar sounds. He's playing a Strat at that point through a Mesa Boogie. And Mike does not have the Soldano yet, and I think his style is a little more wild.
He's got. I remember thought like '92 is just a wah-wah, just like all kinds of wah.
Yeah. But and then like so it's really great, and then the Me and the Devil is very spirited, in that like I swear you can hear Sonny in the background. Like it almost sounds like he's egging JB on. Like JB will sing a line and you can hear Sonny be like, oh yeah, go, oh yeah.
He's the hype man.
It kind of, I swear, and it's like pumping JB up or like giving him a kick in the ass a little bit. I swear, because he's going off. And I listen to the last verse, you'll hear it. And then the second half of Driving, and then the disco is just like textbook $1 million hi-hat, you know.
Nance in the Pants.
Do you want to mention the other tracks I picked?
Yeah.
Which is a few months later from Ziggy's in Winston-Salem, the second of two nights. It's Entering a Black Hole Backwards into Chile. This isn't as quite a clean a recording. It says it came from a cassette, which it sounds like it does. Some of the highs are not present. But I remember being there and thinking how cool this like Entering a Black Hole Backwards was. And right before they drop into Chile, JB starts doing this thing about like Northern California, which I'd never heard before, which I thought was pretty unique and just pretty cool. And then the Chile's pretty good.
It is listed as the Northern California rap.
Okay.
On Everyday Companion.
It's not a lot to it, but I remember him screaming like Northern California, and I was just,
I mean, I appreciate you solving a mystery. You know, it's the early years of Panic and the opening bands, and like, who are these bands and where have they gone? And now we've answered the Hoodwinks.
We got one
from 227.92. Even though you don't want to admit it, Sam.
Oh, I wish we had the recording. I would play it for you.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll play those tracks from spring of '92, and then we'll come back and I guess we'll wrap this up. I feel like we've kept Sam long enough. So this is what two are we doing? 227.92 from the Masquerade, and then 321.92 Herman's Hideaway, and then 525.92 from Ziggy's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. All right.
Oh, can we talk about those two Todd songs that I wanted to
Yes.
get the soundboard versions?
Yes. We'll do that.
Okay.
All right. All right. We have jumped forward 30 years in time from the spring of 92. It's a long time, Sam. I'm not.
I used to think 10 years was a long time, and now I'm just like, that's nothing.
Yeah,
I really am, man. It's like, God, what happened?
Mm-hmm. So that was the Masquerade 227.92 with the Hoodwinks opening, and then 321.92 from Herman's Hideaway, and 525 Ziggy's in Winston-Salem. And we won't forget to play. You wanted to right some wrongs in previous episodes, which and I appreciate you keeping us honest on the sound quality and soundboards. But yeah, we'll play some choice Todd cuts before we're done here.
Okay. Hey, one thing I forgot that I brought this. So I just found this the other day, and here's a uncirculated spring '92.
What?
See this?
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Oh wow! Look at that.
192.
Okay. And let's see if you can see this.
So now we just need somebody with a working DAT player.
Yeah, that's the problem. Anyway, I'll read it to you. So it's audience recording from where's 4-1? The Inferno, Steamboat Springs, which I assume was just some club.
Mm-hmm.
It's an audience with an AKG 522 mic, which is a stereo mic. Jam, and then in parentheses, Pilgrim's Precursor, Just Kiss My Baby, Worried, Pickin', Stop Go, Dream Song, Proving Ground, Low Spark, Flatfoot. So that's probably the end of the.
It's the end of the second set. There's no Pilgrims on the official set list. So
okay. Well, I haven't. I just found. My buddy KJ has all my tapes, and I went and saw him a couple weeks ago and was just looking through them to see what uncirculated stuff I might have, and that was one of them. I found a few.
Awesome.
Too.
You got any requests, Jeff? We finished the 96, right? Or are there any? We got any outstanding?
92 is like I can't wrap my head around 92 or 93. There's just too many shows.
Yeah.
In a given year. 96 is like was a manageable year to try to complete.
So I was going to ask you about. You said that Herman's Hideaway was probably from JB's DAT. So then, how did it get from there to a second generation soundboard in my Napa tape case in Kentucky? Like how did he give it to somebody, or did he make a dub and hand it off? How does that work?
I think at that point in like 92, he just let his buddies have it, or like.
But like, was it like Herman's Hideaway was a better show? Like, was he like, oh, this is a good one, check this out?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I just picture as like, that's just one that made it out. Mm-hmm. That's just, it ended up with him back at home, and then maybe he was hanging out. Someone came over and it was like, oh man, can I tape this? And he'd be like, yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And then all the 93, starting in 93, especially fall 93 and probably summer too. In 94, there was a merchandise guy named Richard Kurlopian who had a DAT machine, and they let him plug into the board every night. So that's where all those come from, and I'm so happy that happened.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure he caught shit for it when they started leaking, but 30 years on, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. There's stuff I still don't, I haven't listened to that I want to, still find stuff that I haven't heard.
So you're going to ask about 5203 or 5302. Sorry. You're going to ask
I
about
am.
5302.
I am.
And what else do we need? I mean, I love that they're doing some vinyl of their archive releases. I feel the first time we had you on was like, I don't know how many years ago was that Knoxville release.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how many there have been since then. Like not many,
No.
if any, one or two maybe. I don't know. What do we need to do, Sam? We need to shake some stuff loose. I mean, I get that they're still playing, and that's the focus right now, right?
Sure.
And again, I think the Miss Kitty's Lounge is great. I mean, I'm glad to see that they're doing some stuff, but I feel like there's still a lot of good things in the archives that we'd like to see the light of day before.
Yeah. Social media is probably the strongest weapon you have. I would think if you get a concerted effort together, if there's, you can get people to agree on shows, they'd probably do it.
Yeah.
At least get talking about it, I asked them if I could pick another one a couple years ago, and then they said, "Well, we'll get back to you. We just have some other stuff going on right now." I was like, "Cool, man. Maybe it's time I check back."
Yeah. All right. Well, fingers crossed. Jerry Ford does point out the Dead after party in '95 in Vegas. Are you aware? I had a friend of mine that went out there. This was freshman year in college, and he went out after freshman year, and it was Dave Matthews and the Dead at Sam Boyd during the day, and then Panic at the Huntridge at night. And he went out as a Dead fan and like a decent Dave Matthews fan, and he was like, Panic just blew them away. Like, and you gotta think, Panic in a nightclub in spring of '95 versus the Dead.
Yeah.
But those shows definitely huge moments.
Two things I remember hearing stories about that. One is it was so crowded and that there was a lot of people that couldn't get in. And Gary Vereen, love you, Gary, miss him so much. He was able to bring a bunch of speakers outside in some kind of parking lot area or something, and pump the music to the.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I know that was very much appreciated, and a lot of people so that's cool. And then my friend Chris Raybold, who was doing merch, like kind of just like following him around, like helping with t-shirt sales. He said that he was standing like kind of side stage, and one night at the encore, they walked off and there wasn't enough room, or I don't know the reason. They all just didn't go back to the dressing room, but they just kind of huddled around the side of the stage. And Mike looked at everybody and said, "Stop, go, Love Tractor," and they just walked right back on stage.
That's awesome.
You got it. Let's go do that. You've seen that quote that says, JB says, "It's still your band, Mike. Let's go play." And in a lot, not always, but in a lot of ways, it was, man. He really had a vision for that stuff, especially when it came to set lists and shows.
Yeah, thank God for that.
That's intention right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's remind folks, Sam, where they can see you like a month from now in mid-May. 3 nights.
Yeah.
Asheville.
Thursday, May 12th, ISIS Music Hall. Friday the 13th, Charleston Poorhouse, May the 13th. And Saturday the 14th, May 14th at Avondale Brewing. And I believe all those are going to be relatively early, like 8:30, 9 p.m. shows. So
us old people like that a lot.
My dinner in about 4:15.
are you gonna bring the family on the road? Is Hayden gonna come?
I don't
Has
think
she seen you play? She hasn't seen you play live, like in a
no, she's seen like a
setting like
sound check or two when she was super little. When she was,
but she's getting old enough, right? I mean, or not old
yeah,
enough, but she's getting older, right? And
yeah, she's 8. She just turned 8.
yeah.
Hayden, yes, that's my daughter. So hopefully I keep doing it a couple more years and she can come see us play.
Cool. Awesome.
She's taking ukulele. She took a lesson today. Was playing.
Nice.
What was she playing? Farmer in the Dell, I think she was playing.
Oh yeah. So that's with your guys in May, and then the plans to be in Atlanta for Panic. Yes. In August.
Yes, multiple nights in Atlanta after Panic. I don't have details yet, but look for it. Stay tuned. It will happen, and we're going to go for it. You know, that 10th being Mike's 20th anniversary of Mike Hauser's passing, and
yeah,
you know, I think about him every day, and he's really the inspiration for what I do. I don't know if you can see this. Saldana's back there. You
yeah.
See it, but
nice.
And you know, and him and Todd too, you know, they're just we're great people, and I feel lucky to have been inspired by them, and playing these shows is like my way to feel close to them, still feel close. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. And the plans to more shows? You know, I mean, obviously the last couple of years have been hard, right? You know, and I know you've done like live streams and stuff like that. But you know, we'll see you out on the road some.
Yeah, you know,
forward, right?
I don't have any plans to stop. I don't have any plans to like, you know, do anything, but just keep doing what we're doing, man. You know, I'm going to play every show like it could be the last show. So that's my attitude at this point. Enjoy it, yeah. Celebrate, embrace it, man. You just never know what's going to happen.
Awesome. Well, Sam, we so much appreciate you. This is the impetus for us to get a show going again, because it had been a while.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the kick in the pants.
I had no idea y'all hadn't done anything.
No, and it wasn't even like, I mean, I feel bad. It's just like it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't
just, like we broke up or anything.
No, we totally didn't. And it was just, you know, it's hard sometimes, you know, with kids and aligning schedules and priorities. And
how many kids? Harvey, you have 2 kids?
I have 2 boys. They are 6 and 9.
And Jeff?
2 boys, 9 and 2.
I've got 1 girl, 8, and I know how hard it is with 1. So kudos.
Yeah.
Really hard with 2.
I don't know how well I'm doing it, but
yeah, and I hear you.
Yeah,
I hope it's working.
We'll find out in 20 years.
This whole TikTok thing is killing me. I'm scared of
it. Yeah. All right, man. Well, it was great seeing you. Thanks everybody for joining us, and it'll be fewer than 5. I know we say this every time, but
it'll be 5
months.
We didn't talk. There's so much we didn't talk about.
We got shows coming up. We're gonna talk about Goose, and we'll start our Goose podcast.
It's gonna be.
Jeff's gonna start going on tour with J-Rad and all that stuff. So. All right. Thanks everybody.
Thanks guys. Take care.